So there's a certain subject a lot of people kind of noticeably struggle with or try to avoid when it comes to weight loss, from some of the observations I've been making from the videos I've been watching. And, well, it's time. We're gonna do math. So, unfortunately, like it or not, when it comes to weight loss, math is wicked important. Now, at the moment, I'm doing keto more so than calorie counting, so it's far more important that I count my carbohydrates. This is 90% cocoa chocolate, and it's got 14 grams of carbs per 100 grams, as you can see from it not focusing. But we know that the packet contains 100 grams, so we can safely assume, well, the top two are broken off because of what I was working on last night that I'm going to be showcasing today. Every square, therefore, is 10 grams, because 100 divided by 10 is 10, which means for the carb count, we can just divide that by 10. Dividing by 10 is wicked easy with a whole number. You just put a decimal point, one digit in, and I now know it's 1.4 grams of carbohydrates per block on here. So we're going to take off two. Ooh, already kind of snapped. But make sure these are the blocks snapped off, and there we go. So we now know that this will have 2.8 grams of carbs inside it. When I get this double cream here, I know this stuff is 1.6 grams of carbs per 100 milliliters, which we will get to. And I've also got here this sugar-free almond milk, which is 0 carbs. 4.4 grams of carbs are going to be in this drink I'm going to make, because, surprise, I'm making a mocha latte again, but I'm making it even spicier than usual. 3 tablespoons, aka 45 milliliters of double cream, 200 milliliters of sugar-free almond milk. Now to this, I can add a further 45 milliliters of double cream. So double cream's pretty calorie dense. So this is all I will be having for breakfast. Break up these 2 blocks of chocolate. I just wish I had a better tripod so I didn't just have to do all torso shots. Grab this cocoa powder here, which claims to have 0.4 grams of carbs per teaspoon. Well, we're using 1 teaspoon. Get that whipped into a very thick paste. Remember that when you're doing cocoa powder, you're not mixing the cocoa powder into the fluid. You're mixing the fluid into the cocoa powder. So you want a tiny amount of fluid for that. And now what we have is this lumpy mass that is perfect for what I'm making. 1 tablespoon of erythritol for sweetness. I missed a key step. Yeah, I sort of maybe forgot to have the coffee press ready. Just put 2 scoops in here. There's supposed to be 1 scoop per cup, but I'm always doing a mug's worth, so you do 2. Small amount of this boiled water. Boiled, not boiling. It's got to be just off boiling so you don't burn the coffee. Leave that for a bit. Microwaving time. So we want to do this in 30-second intervals. All this idea came about when I was at Captain Hunter's house the other day, and I made us that chocolate pudding. I made that in a pan, but thought, can I melt the chocolate in the almond milk in the microwave? And last night it turned out the answer was yes. Whisk it up. It's already starting to soften a bit, and just do this 5 times. It normally takes me 2.5 minutes to heat the almond milk up when I do this with just cocoa powder. So once again, 5 times 30 seconds is 2.5 minutes. Once again, math is important. When you are dieting, math is important. Now the reason I've added a bit of heavy cream to this is just to give it a bit of that like thickness and viscosity that the chocolate will mix into. I think if I did this with just almond milk, I don't think the chocolate would like mix in very well. Yo, future Kirkhope here. I think the actual reason is just that having some more cream in there makes it thicker, makes it conduct heat better, which creates a hotter liquid in which the chocolate can also conduct heat and melt. At least, I get the feeling that's the reason it works better. But it works better, trust me. And now, at this point, I can no longer feel the chunks of chocolate in the whisk. So you can sort of see it's still staining the bottom of the jug here, which means what I will now need to do is grab the teaspoon I was using for the cocoa powder and get it all scraped off the bottom. And now that I know it's all just completely mixed in, I don't need to do this in 30-second intervals anymore. It can just go back in for the full minute. And it's around this time that the coffee espresso shot's about ready to go. So, we'll just squeeze this down. Not very much to squeeze, granted. Pour it in here. And our chocolate and cream paste that we got formed in the bottom here can now be mixed up into this hot espresso. This is already starting to smell absolutely incredible. Now at this point, you could actually drink it for like a very bitter cocoa-y espresso shot, and it'd probably be really, really tasty, but not very sweet, obviously. One of the things I'm starting to like more and more, and having done this for as long as I have now, is just simply the way cocoa tastes when it's unsweetened, like entirely unsweetened. When I'm making like the cocoa paste for some of these recipes, I'll sometimes just sort of, when I'm like cleaning my utensils, end up tasting some of the cocoa paste and think that actually tastes pretty good. I've always had a dangerously sweet tooth, and yet now this diet's really taking that off. Really, the thing I crave most now, as you saw from the cheat day, is just pizza. Keto pizza substitutes, they're not great. They're just really not. In terms of just sort of like crispy, crunchy food, crackers, that sort of thing, plenty of substitutes for those. I found that now that I've found that pork crackling does in fact make such a good coating for fish, that's becoming a big favorite of mine. In terms of just a nice, big, crunchy, fluffy bread thing to have pizza toppings on top of, I once tried it with the sort of Keto King bread dough and was just kind of disappointed, but that was before I was using golden flaxseed meal and psyllium husk in it, so who knows, maybe it'll be different this time. So there we go, Mocha Latte Advanced Edition. Let's give this a try. Alright, so I'll be putting the precise calorie numbers on the screen and how I work that out. Alright, so for the precise numbers, there were 26 calories in the almond milk I used because it was about 200 milliliters, 0 carbs. Cocoa powder has 15 calories and 0.4 of a gram of carbs. 420 calories in the cream, which is where a lot of these come from, and then 1.44 grams of carbs in there, and then 120.4 calories in the chocolate I used with 2.8 grams of carbs. What this means is that in this mug there's 581 calories and 4.64 grams of carbs. Well, actually there's more like 583. Apparently there's about 2 calories in an espresso shot. Either way, this was all I had for breakfast. I'm finding myself only really eating 2 meals a day now, so it kind of works out. I wouldn't always recommend drinking your calories. Definitely only do this as a treat when you're feeling particularly treaty, I guess. But I knew I was going to burn a lot of this off by going and doing couch to 5K at the gym today. But once again, this is just another fine example of how not doing the math constantly on your weight loss can impact things and how important that is. So yeah, the little decimal point, 1 digit in tip I said for dividing by 10, don't forget that. For dividing by 100, remember the one weighing your portions. Just weigh what you've made, then using a calculator, divide the calories per 100 grams, then multiply the result by the number of grams in your portion. Like, you'll find just how many calories are in, say, a portion of sauce, for example. But take it to heart, math is wicked important when you're dieting. Do not overlook it. And on that note, I'll see you soon.